One of the things about Joshua Tree National Park is it's not so much like some national parks where it's do this trail, that trail, watch this one thing, but it's more everything that you see is just amazing. I would go on a 6 hour car ride just walking around, driving around with the AC on for sure, and seeing all the mountains, especially during the sunset. Joshua Tree is just outside of the Palm Springs Coachella Valley. They have a south entrance from Coachella, or if you go north on Palm Springs, there's an entrance on Joshua Tree, the city, and then 29 Palms City. There's not cities near the south entrance, so you want to stay in one of these two areas to keep refilling with water, unless you're camping in one of these sites. And if you're trying to be the most efficient with your trip, especially with heat, there's some highlights on that first branch from the Joshua Tree city itself. There's lots of trails everywhere, there's lots of mountains. But what we did was the Hidden Valley Trail here. The key viewpoint that you can see the whole mountain and Coachella range. And then back up here, you definitely want to stop at Hall of Horrors rock formation. There's a cool other rock, Skull Rock. And then at this point, it can go back up to the other north entrance. And then this split off point goes all the way to that south entrance. And so this has Arc Rock, and then down here, Cholla Cactus and Octa-Io Cactus. And then way towards the bottom, they have Palm Springs Oasis, and that trail goes to the Lost Palms Oasis. Cholla Cactus. One of the highlights of Joshua Tree is this Cholla Cactus Garden. It's a quarter-mile loop, so it's easy enough to do even with the extreme heat. It's about 100 degrees, and a quarter-mile is probably the longest hike I have ever. All these little balls break up from Mary Pointy. You can see they had a flower that died. I'll try to find another one. I think all these empty nodes are where they flowered and fell off. Tennis shoes might be a good idea for this one. Watch as a stranger almost hits the cactus. Luckily, he avoids it by looking where he's going. It looks so cute, I want to touch it. They're probably not that pointy, are they? The Octa-Ios are much more pretty in the spring when it's blooming. One consideration for the time of year that you go to Joshua Tree isn't just the season, but the phase of the moon. If you like stargazing and it's a super full moon like that, it will be harder to see the rest of the stars. Obviously, on your phone, can't really see much, but I can see the Little Dipper and a decent amount of other stars, but it is pretty faded and blurry. If the moon is too bright, or even if it's not, you can go to Keys Viewpoint see the light pollution of Palm Springs and Palm Desert. Most of the mountains in... This is pretty much the only views of the city at night with the light. Even the other small towns, 29, Palm, and Joshua Tree City, are pretty minimal once you get into the park, and these are all covered with the mountains. Same place, but during the day. This is the Keys viewpoint, and then Toro Peak, Palm Springs, San Quito Mountain and State Park. Around there is the Salton Sea, and this whole thing is kind of the Coachella Valley and San Andreas Fault. At Joshua Tree, the key view, we see Palm Springs over there, the San Quito Mountain Range and State Park, the whole Coachella Valley, Mount Toro, and then there's the Salton Sea just behind those mountain ranges, and this whole thing is also the San Andreas Fault. In addition to desert, sand, cactus, and trees, Joshua Tree also has rocks. The Ark Rock area is actually in White Tank Campground, but it's closed, at least for camping, the summer and heat. But just because the entrance is closed to cars doesn't mean it's closed to me. Now that the sun's gone down, the temperature is also... This makes the hike that's about 0.4 from the nearest parking spot doable. Here's the arch. Yeah, maybe if you just go around, you can... The Hidden Valley Trail is a easy 1 mile loop, and it has a couple steps, but any family or kids can do it. It has a lot of boulders. A couple people will try to climb them. It was actually closed off, but then a rancher blew up a couple of the rocks, and so his cattle could slip in between the crevices and feed there. At the south end of Joshua Tree at the Cottonwood Campgrounds is a spring, or an oasis. They have a 2.4 mile loop to get to the mines and peak, and then about a 7 mile loop to get to the oasis part. But I'm fine with this half a mile mini springs walk. In general, for Joshua Tree, you probably want to get there before 10 a.m., at least for the summer, and then after 6 it goes down from 3 digits to 99 degrees Fahrenheit, and then the sun sets around 8, so there's not a lot of time for decent light, but also not too hot and dangerous. Overall, I might recommend coming in spring to increase the hours during the day that you can hike. Also, there's more likely to be flowers or cactus blooming. So, what was your favorite part of Joshua Tree if you've been here? And did you camp? I'm curious how that works with all of the water requirements and just the heat. I'd love to come back and do one of these mountain hikes when it's less hot and maybe when some of the flowers are blooming, just see what the cactuses look like.